right, so we've got some good presentations today. We're kind of excited to hear about them because I don't know a lot about either one of them. So the first one's going to be Crystal Baker, and Doug and Crystal are just going to kind of have a conversation, and you all get to join in. How's that? So, okay, take it away.
Thank you very much. So this is our debut talk show. We're excited about that, right?
Yeah.
And we're just gonna, Crystal's a little nervous, so we're just gonna have a conversation. We're gonna learn all about her business and have fun with this. So, Crystal Baker,
Yes.
with Ima Errand Lady, when you sent me the information about what you're doing in your business, I think the thing that was most touching to me is this really kind of started with you in your mind and heart as a little kid.
Yes.
Tell us about that story and why you like to help people.
Well, growing up, my mother had 6 siblings, and none of them were married at the time. So I helped do grocery shopping and cleaning their house, and I loved it. Every week we would get a shopping list, and we would go shopping. And I fell in love with doing it, and I love helping people. And so, several years ago, I had the idea to start doing it because I love doing it. I love helping people, and it is really a passion of mine. And I was trying to come up with a name, and Ima Errand Lady came to mind. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So.
You know, in today's busy world, and we're all busy, thank you all for your time coming here today. Having an errand lady is probably not a bad idea. So tell me about not only when you started this, but have you talked to other colleagues around the country or know of other people that have done it? And what are some practices that you're applying that maybe somebody else is not doing?
I actually haven't talked to anybody that does have an errand service. I don't even know how I decided to start doing it, but I don't know. I love helping people. I just want to make everybody's lives easier. I know there's a lot of people that are so busy, like they have to take time out of their lunch periods at work to run errands. And I want to be able to do that for them so they can take the time to eat lunch and not have to take an extra long period of time from work and miss out on productivity for their job or anything like that, so they don't have to miss out on money, and just do what they need to do for them so they can take care of themselves on their lunch break.
Well, in your understanding of the value of time, I think it's critical. And I think
I'm always early for everything.
I've noticed that. I've noticed that.
If I'm not 15 minutes, at least 15 minutes early.
Like when I come in to set the chairs, you're looking at me like, where you been? So, I know you're on time. Accountability. But time is critical. As we get older, we realize time is more precious than anything else because we're in that moment. So the fact that you can provide that to somebody so that they can be in that moment is really an awesome and noble thing, and probably one of the things that will appeal to people to come to you for that. We were visiting earlier back, and when we were talking about doing this today, you shared with me that one of your struggles is how you price this.
Yes.
Tell me about why you're struggling with that in your thought process.
Because I love doing what I do. I feel like I don't want to charge people for doing something I love.
Okay, full stop. This is entrepreneurism.
I know.
Cash happens, and the Chamber of Commerce, it's commerce. So everybody in here is working, and we're doing it why? To make money. So you're among friends, and it's okay. It's okay to make a profit. And if somebody thinks about, okay, I've got to get this in the post office at this time, but I also need to run by my kids' grade school and turn in that paper that they didn't give me until this morning at parent drop-off with my signature on it. That touched a nerve, didn't it? To know that they could call you and say, hey, can you run this by the post office? How do you, walk me through that process. Do you want them to have your phone number? When that happens, how do they get a hold of you? And then we'll talk about pricing for the backside.
They can just give me a call, because this is the only thing I really use, so.
And what are your hours of operation?
Pretty much any time.
Sunday, Monday, or Saturday, Sunday?
Sunday, not in the mornings, because I have church.
Okay, good.
Pretty much other than that.
Wow, that's amazing. So let's talk about pricing. And maybe that can like segue into Q&A on this, but if you're struggling with that, I don't want to assume, but you don't have a rate card right now, right?
Right now I'm doing $15 an hour, minimum 1 hour.
So if I needed you to run all over Joplin in 1 hour, that would fit in that 1 hour, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you do have a price.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's what we're gonna do. We will work through that. And then do you have minimums in that? Is it just like, hey, we want to buy a 1 hour block of time for 15 minutes? Or can somebody say, hey, I don't know how much I'm going to use you over the next 6 months. Can I just pay you $100 and we'll work backwards from that?
I pretty much do it each time.
Okay, so each time that you do
Right.
it. Okay, and then accepting payment, or do you do cash? Do you do?
I do have Square, so I can do debit or credit card.
Okay,
And
good.
cash.
And like Google Pay, do you have a Google Pay account set up or anything like
No,
that?
but I do have Cash App.
Oh, perfect. Well, you're on top of it. So what do you think is one of your barriers that you're thinking in your mind about pricing? Do you think that $15 per month or per hour is too expensive? Because I don't want to
Sometimes,
put you under
yes.
pressure on, you're creating some self-imposed guilt, and I want you to get
I
past
am.
that.
Sometimes I have they have me do more than one thing, so like more than one stop. So like I'll go to Sam's, Walmart, and somewhere else, and then take it to a customer. I have a hard time thinking, should I add an extra so much since there's so many stops in that hour? And how much should it be?
Gas and mileage.
Right, yeah.
Well, like in the real estate world, we go on comps. So if somebody gets their house appraised, they compare it to something in the neighborhood. So and you guys jump in if you want to, but what I would say is that if I get on my phone and summons an Uber and have them drive me all around town, it's gonna be more than $15. Now, if they just take me to North Park Mall, it probably wouldn't be, not in Joplin.
Yeah.
But then that's a comparable, because it's just like you're running for them. So have you done any cost comparisons with like Uber? That might be something you want to consider. So of your current clients, maybe you have a flat fee of $15 or $20 per hour, but then also, heaven forbid, we continue to see fuel prices rise, or your car insurance premiums may go up.
Yeah.
You got to take that into account too,
Yeah.
right? So,
And that's where I have an issue with, is just pricing it.
right. Where do you see yourself in a year from now? What are your goals on what you want to do with this business?
I'd eventually like to have more people hired on, because right now I'm the only one to eat, so I'd eventually like to be able to hire a few people.
That's noble. That's worth an applause.
Yeah.
Hiring people. Yeah. Those are great goals. And I think for any community, when people start to see that somebody is providing a solution, they'll rally around that. So that's fantastic. Back to your heart and your passion of why you wanted to help people, take me back to maybe when you were younger and that fire was lit in you. Tell me about the gratitude that you got from somebody that even though they paid you, they had a conversation with you and you really helped them out on a bind. Tell me about that conversation and how it made you feel.
I love helping people, and I love to see the smile on their face when I can help them out. And growing up, I didn't get paid per se, helping my aunts and uncles, but just knowing that I made their life easier, it was worth it, no matter how much or how little it took for me to do whatever I had to do.
I love
It's
that.
just the gratitude, I mean, it just warms my heart.
What are you doing with networking beyond what you're doing here today, and you have social media pages?
I do have a Facebook page. I'm also with ING. I don't know if anybody's heard of that.
Sure.
And then I signed up with the Carl Junction Area Chamber of Commerce.
Perfect. Excellent. Good deal. Well, I think probably now's the time to open it up for questions. Lowell, if you want to take over, we'll let you do that. And I'm going to go, but I'll be good to you with questions, okay? And a round of applause for a great presentation.
Mine's less of a question than a comment. Speaking of ING, one of my favorite stories about you is Jennifer Johnson at Simple Simons, your job for her.
Yes.
Can you tell everybody about that one?
I met her through ING, and we were talking about her delivery service and how she does not like having to use DoorDash because there's been a lot of complaints from customers taking an hour and a half to get their pizza or not even getting their pizza at all. And I said, just give me a call, I'd be more than happy to do that. So I've actually done several deliveries for her.
What I was talking about was the personal one.
Oh, yes, she was out of town and she gives me a call, she's like, I'm out of town, I forgot to get something from an online auction. She said, if I don't get it today, they're gonna kick me out, can you please go get it? I'm like, sure, well, just give me the address, and I went and got it and took it
That's how
up to the
valuable
store.
she is.
Great presentation. Two things, but I may have lost one already. One of the first conversations that we had too is you were talking about working with businesses too. That this isn't necessarily just a personal service, but actually working with different types of businesses. Do you mind explaining sort of what you were thinking with that?
Okay, for larger businesses, sometimes they have things that need to be picked up at office stores or anything like that. And they have employees, but they would have to take an employee off of one job to do pickup for something. So I would basically do that for them. That way they don't have to take or somebody from something else to do this. And also to maybe run errands for their employees so they don't have to take an extended period, lunch period, and miss out on productivity, so the company doesn't miss on productivity.
Yeah, thank you. And I remember my other things. Just two sort of suggestions. One thing I was thinking is, last week I was actually at the Carl Junction Senior Center, and a lot of, between lunch and stuff, they were all talking about some of their friends that are homebound that like people, and so one of the suggestions is sort of going around to those groups, and I know some churches also have some groups of sort of the senior citizen crowd that they have friends, and a lot of those friends are doing errands for their friends, but it's just something to think about, a different type of networking, possibly. And then the second one is just a suggestion on pricing. One thing that popped into my head is to be sustainable, trying to figure out a way to have repeat customers. Because I know now you're just sort of, as the errands come in, but trying to figure out, is there a rate, like for a senior citizen, where you're going in, you know, once a week, every month, and sort of just doing, sort of like a, not necessarily a membership model, but just sort of, so you always know, and then income-wise, you know, I do this every single week at this time on Wednesday at 11, you know, 11 to 1, and I'm gonna get paid sort of this, and you monthly charge them, or however they're gonna do it. Just, you know, thinking of the future and how you can be sustainable to get to that point where you can hire more people.
So to follow up on that, one thing I was just thinking about was, on your marketing efforts, have you ever made up a flyer or anything that kind of tells about what you do, or something you can leave with
I
people?
do, but I don't have any printed up, I think, but I can.
Well, I was just thinking is when you think about who it is that you're helping, so how do you find these people? So where are they? And so like the senior centers would be a good one. Or like I said, churches would have benevolence programs and different things they're trying to help you. Maybe they don't have somebody to volunteer, but they need someone to go get groceries for Sally or whatever. So I mean, that's what you gotta think about outside the box. It's like, where are the people that you're trying to help? And then get a flyer, get it to them, you know, make up a bunch of them and start passing them out. You know, that one-on-one contact, and they meet you too, that's another thing. You know, then they're a lot more likely to follow the problem.
You bet.
Just a comment or idea, when you go to baby showers or, you know, that sort of thing, if you had some sort of gift card that, people could buy a gift card and for your services.
I've actually had that
Okay.
idea, especially for like new mothers.
Yes.
Because they don't wanna take their babies out, like when it gets cold or too hot or whatever. Yeah, I've had that.
You can
New
do
moms,
gift cards.
someone in the hospital, get well cards, that sort of thing.
Well, a couple things, but I just had a real comment on your pricing, and just, I think it's about perception that you have. So when you think, oh, I hate to charge people because I love doing this, what you have to understand is that you're actually saving them money. You're not costing them money, you're saving them money, and that's how you need to look at it. And I think that might help you just get past that wall a little bit that you have with feeling like you're charging money for something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
You're actually providing a service that is saving them significant money, because time is money. And especially when you're looking at the business world, time is money. So I think if you looked at it like that, it might help you just a little bit. To Lowell's point about the flyers, I think if you could come to some of the after-hour events that the chambers have, and literally, that's where you meet businesses and hand them flyers. Yeah, that have, and tell them about what you do. I think you could probably readily pick up some businesses pretty quickly that would have top of mind and thinking of you when, man, I need these things done. You talk about office supplies. I used to have to deal with that in my former job, and I would have to pull that employee off, and,
Right.
and we would have to cover their job so they could go get the office
Yeah.
supplies. So I can see things like that that could be really helpful, but I think you need to get the word out. And so I think those after hours and the flyers together could probably do you a world of good.
On the pricing too, if you think about it this way, is that you're not your customer. And so, you know, maybe in your mind, they said you helped all these people for free for years. Well, but your customer is willing to pay for your service. So you gotta get you out of that thought process. You gotta think about your customer, like, yeah, they're willing to do that, so, yeah, and then charge accordingly.
She's willing to stand in line at the DMV too.
But that's
Yeah, everybody at ING is like, you'll go to the DMV once, and I'm like, yeah. Like, okay, so every time we had a meeting, we're like, you're still gonna go to the DMV once, you?
You get charged $50 for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be a upcharge.
That's a premium.
Except you can't take the picture with us.
That's true.
You know, Crystal, I was
Not license,
I was
but the
thinking
reason
about
of the
Everything
tags.
else, yes.
talking about the pricing thing. That, you know, having a pricing scale actually gives a little bit more of, even if it seems like it's more expensive, it gives a little bit more legitimacy to what you're doing. Like, for example, like if you, for anybody that travels for their work, or any type of job like that, you know, even for tax purposes, you're allotted you know, I think it was like, I haven't looked in a while, but it was, you know, 50 or 60 cents a mile is what you can, you know, put, you know, toward your, I mean, that's deductible. So I mean, the fact that there is already a structure there for you, if you would look at those and consider that in your pricing scale. And, you know, just the other day, I had to take Daughter's Ray car to the shop, and I couldn't, nobody could help me and bring me back to work. And so I was like, I'll just Uber when I get there. Well, I looked on there and there wasn't anybody available. And the first time I looked, it was like $8 to, you know, something like that, to where I needed to go. It wasn't very far away. And then I waited for a few more minutes to see if anybody else was there while I was still talking to him about the car. So then it was like, I did it again, it was like $9. I did it a third time, and it was like $11. And so I mean, that's, you know, I'm not suggesting that you do something like that, because there's algorithms and all the things behind that. But what I'm saying is that you can justify your pricing by the different stops that you have, how far away they are, and add that in. So if you have a minimum of $15 an hour, you also need to have a minimum, you know, for 1 mile, and then this is how much, and that's the way Uber does it. You know, it's so much per mile after the initial. It's like, yeah, something like that. So, you know, that having an actual pricing, I mean, I know it's a little bit, you know, intimidating to try to figure out what that price should be, but just take a look at all the others, the benefit that you have to, you know, all of these places, Walmart, all these, you know, Sam's Club, they all have their delivery service now, but they don't have, you know, if you order something from Walmart and Aldi's, the Walmart guy's not gonna go to Aldi's and pick it up, and, you know what I'm saying? So there's where you have a benefit, but if your charge is similar to what they would be charging, that's appropriate, I think.
Okay, we've got time for one more. There you go.
I just echo what they said about, like, maybe look at subscription-based pricing. Do you have like a scheduler or like something that your clients can go in and look at, you know, what your availability is?
Not as of right now, no.
But what I'm thinking is, if you have a subscription-based pricing, and that allots them so many errands, you know, like maybe they pay so much per month or so much, and then they're allotted so many errands, and then you have a scheduler to where, you know, you can work out efficiencies, like with, okay, I know that Bob needs me to go here, and Sally needs me to go somewhere over here, and it's on the way. Sally. But you see what I'm saying? Like that, I feel like a person could perceive more value in, oh, I'm going to get so many errands run, and I know I'm going to need so many errands run within the next, you know, 6 months or 3 months or whatever.
Right.
But it can help your efficiency and maybe help like your profitability.
So on that thought, there's two things I was thinking about. One is Square does have a scheduler built in, but Calendly is awesome. And I can talk more about later, but
Okay.
that way you can set up a schedule, and then that way people can book times that you're available, and so on and so forth. We can talk about that. All right, perfect.